Dongles, no. So many dongles. Oh. Oh. It's just a dream. Yes. What a dongle nightmare. All these dongles, if you're like me and you own an Apple product, you've got a slew of dongles that you're using for who knows what reason. Well, I mean, I know why, because they only really have like one type of port, USB-C, Thunderbolt 4 on the new Mac Mini. I don't know, not sure, but honestly, sick of dongles. I've got the product today to save you from your dongle nightmare. A Minisopuru Mac Mini M4 Mini4Pro dock. It's got 3 USB-A ports, an SD card reader, a mini SD card reader, a 3.5mm audio out, and it also includes an NVMe slot to expand the storage on your Mac Mini. We're going to install this on my Mac Mini that I upgraded to 2 terabytes of internal storage earlier this year, and we're going to slam in another 2 terabytes for a grand total of 4 terabytes. We're going to put this device through its paces, so come along for the ride. Let's get into it. Big shout out to the folks at Minisopuru for sending over the Mac Mini Mini4Pro dock. Let's unbox and get into it. Alright, take a peek here. We've got a user's manual, the dock itself here. You can see on the front we've got our 2 USB-A ports. We've got a nice SD card reader, mini SD card reader on the back. We've got our 4K 60 Hz HDMI out, 3.5mm audio jack, and then a third USB 2.0 port, and then of course a USB-C to connect to our Mac Mini itself. Another notable feature here on this dock is this little cutout so that you can reach the power button on your Mac Mini once it's all plugged in and put together. So it'll solve that age-old problem of not being able to reach the power button in your Mac Mini. There's also, on the back here, our NVMe slot. Alright, let's take a look at the rest of the packaging here. What else is inside the box? Open it up here. Oh, this is nice. We've got our USB to USB-C cable to connect to our Mac Mini. We've got a nice thermal pad included along with some hardware to screw in our NVMe, and of course then even a Phillips screwdriver included. That's a nice touch. Alright, let's take our hardware out here and install a 2 terabyte drive in this Mac Mini expansion. Oh, this is awesome. We have here multiple sizes of NVMEs that can fit into here. So anywhere from a 2230, 2242, 2260, or a 2280. It's that age-old joke here. Does size matter? Nah, capacity matters. NVMe installed. Let's get it back together and get into some testing. To connect our dock, we're going to place our Mac Mini on top of it. I'm going to take the included USB-C cable, plug it in one of the rear Thunderbolt ports, and then kind of daisy chain it back to the bottom. Quick, easy, and simple. Isn't it cute? It's kind of like a little mini Mac Studio. Love the look of this dock. Wonderful dock. So let's check out how it performs. Let's take a look at our Wi-Fi speed test results for this dock. To see if Wi-Fi was impacted, I ran a speedtest.net upload and download test 3 times and averaged the results. In the visual on the screen, the green bar illustrates the speeds while on the dock. Take note here that we see no discernible differences on or off the dock with our Wi-Fi speeds. This is great news and tells us that we don't have any sort of interference with our dock. Getting into the internal NVMe tests, I ran the Blackmagic disk speed test and AmorphousDiskMark. Running a Blackmagic speed test on the internal NVMe shows us speeds we can expect from a 10 gigabit per second device. Write speeds averaged 930 megabytes per second, and read speeds reached 793 megabytes per second. With reads and writes at this speed, you'll have absolutely no issue editing 4K video directly from an NVMe in this dock. In the AmorphousDiskMark, with a 1 gigabyte sequential read and write test, with a queue depth of 8, shows us a write speed of about 1017 megabytes per second and write speeds of 889 megs. This is exactly where we should be hitting the upper limit of our USB-C dock connection. Excellent results. Testing the SD card reader, we tested both the micro SD card reader and the full-size SD card reader. I was pleasantly surprised with the results. The card reader is advertised by Minisopuru as 104 megabytes per second. With the cards that we tested, we saw a much higher read and write speed. Our tests, we used Blackmagic disk speed test with our full-size SD SanDisk Extreme Pro, rated at 170 megabyte per second speeds. We saw 167 megabyte reads and 195 megabyte writes. Using the micro SD card reader with another SanDisk Extreme Micro card, USH1 rated, we saw read speeds at 170 megabytes per second and write speeds at 192 megabytes per second. We tested the dock's USB-A ports. While they're limited to USB 2.0 speeds, we certainly got USB 2.0 speeds out of them. For our testing, to eliminate any sort of bottlenecks with flash drives, since most flash drives don't have large read and write speeds, we connected an external NVMe drive via the USB-C cable with the USB-C to USB-A adapter. We saw write speeds at 79 megabytes and read speeds at 39 megabytes, exactly where we should be expecting to see USB 2.0 speeds. The 3.5mm headphone jack was tested on the dock, and it functions as both an audio output as well as an audio input source. Lastly, our 4K 60Hz out HDMI port worked perfectly. I plugged in a monitor and the Mac immediately recognized it and allowed me to set the resolution to 4K with a refresh rate at 60 Hz. As I wrap this video up, many folks out there are wondering about the utility of a dock like this versus the price. It's easy to see the price of the Mac Mini dock and assume that it's easier just to use dongles. I disagree though. The dock adds utility to your Mac, potentially saves you money as well. Knowing dongles aren't cheap, 10 bucks for a USB-A to USB-C adapter kit, 15 for a quality SD card reader, and $40 or $50 for a USB-C NVMe enclosure, all those utilize ports as well on your Mac Mini. With the Mini 4 Pro, we're only using one port for all of those same functions, and in my opinion, this is money well spent. What did I love about the Mini 4 Pro? Like the intro, it basically eliminates the need for all of my dongles. Thank you. I also love that the USB card reader gave us better than expected performance. Minisopuru advertises the reader at a maximum of 104 megabytes a second. We saw write speeds at 195 megs. That's an 87% difference. Pretty awesome. I also love that the NVMe slot accepts multiple sized drives because it's always capacity over size. All jokes aside, it's great to see a company including not only the mounting hardware, but a screwdriver to secure your drive. It's these little touches that save people from having to run to the local store in search of a super small Phillips screwdriver. Outside of this, just the sheer fact of having the M2 slot available for storage is wonderful. You can use it as a time machine target for your Mac Mini. You could store your Final Cut Pro library on the NVMe disk, or maybe your collection of 4K high-res cat videos. The possibilities are endless. All the rage on the internet when the Mac Mini M4 first launched was a bunch of people complaining about the position of the power button. While the power button's not in an ideal position, the Minisopuru M4 Pro dock really helps to solve for it via this nice little cutout. Another excellent addition to this dock. Regarding the look and feel of the Mini 4 Pro, I love that the dock feels premium and it also matches the aluminum color on my Mac Mini. Alright, things that I don't love about the Mini 4 Pro. Well, there aren't many. My first complaint is that the USB cable to connect the dock to your Mac Mini isn't permanently connected to the dock. While not a big deal or a deal breaker for me, just a personal gripe. While I don't often use a micro SD card, when I do, I prefer that it inserts label side up. In this dock, it must be inserted label side down, which makes card removal difficult because you need to use two hands since the tab or ridge on the edge of the little micro SD card is now facing your desktop. The last piece that I have is the omission of USB 3.0 ports. We're running USB 2.0 on 3 USB-A ports. This could be a deal breaker for some folks. While we saw the expected USB 2.0 speeds, it seems odd to not have included 3.0 ports in 2025. I did a little Googling regarding 2.0 versus 3.0, and the internet tells me that 3.0 ports can generate some sort of interference, likely this was taken into consideration by the product designers, and perhaps somebody can advise me a little bit further in the comments about possible interference. At the end of the day, I think the Minisopuru M4 Pro is probably a great addition to sit under your M4 Mac Mini. Thanks Minisopuru for sending this over for review. Thanks for watching.